Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Rogue Eye Media. My name is Alex Schlerf, and today we're going to be taking a break from the typical reviews that I do every Friday and on the blog as well. And just because there's not really a movie for me to review, it's Friday when I'm recording this, and Running Man comes out today. The new Now You See movie comes out today. I'm gonna see Running Man later today, but it didn't work with the timing. I wouldn't be able to watch it, get back late, record a review, and have it up the same day. And I wanted to keep my every Friday video strategy. So if the Running Man is really good and it is worthy of either a video or a written review, I will add that on to the typical one review, one video a week. But like I said, I'm recording this before I even seen it, so excited to see it, but I don't know how it's gonna be. So not including that in a video because I didn't want to delay the video. But for today's video, we're going to be doing right now my top 10 performances of the year. And this is something where obviously there's a lot of movies and a lot of people that'll probably get awards love later in the year that I have not seen yet. No, I haven't seen. I'll give a list of some movies that I have seen and haven't seen in a second, but this is going to be my personal top 10 performances. So this will not be what I think is going to happen at the Oscars, what I think is going to happen at Golden Globes. No, this is just literally my top 10 performances, the ones I was most impressed with this year. And I'm focusing on 10. I have a list right here of like 20, actually it's exactly 22 performances that like stood out to me and I thought were overly good. And I'm not going to go through all of them. I'll maybe, if I have time at the end, kind of list the ones that just missed out. But for right now, I'm just going to focus on the top 10, so this video isn't an hour, 2 hours long. And yeah, my personal opinion, all these performances are amazing, and a lot of the ones I left out were very deserving. But for me, this is my list. And then again, if I have time at the end, I have like a ranking of where I'm at right now for like the top four Oscars awards. So best actor, best actress, best supporting actor, and best supporting actress. Again, my opinion, not what I think is going to happen at the Oscars, because mine can somewhat differ depending on the movies that I really like this year. So yeah, going to be going through that if I have time at the end. And the only thing I want to say before I get into this is, if you have not checked out my content on the blog for the movie Eternity, A24 invited me to an early screening of that movie. It's coming out November 26th. It was a really fun and entertaining time, not without problems, but a great time at the screening and a great time with the movie. So thanks to A24 for inviting me. And if you have not checked out that review yet or any of my other content relating to that, it is on the blog or on the TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all of that. All in the description below. Thanks so much for the support. Only reason I can do stuff like this is because of the support of everyone on the channel. So appreciate that. So yeah, I'm going to go to my top 10 performances. So here are some that just missed out of this top 10 list. I mean, literally 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Or I'll say those ones. I'm not going to go into these ones because, again, want to make sure this video isn't too long. But my number 11, so just missing out, is Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another. Jacob Elordi from Frankenstein. I just watched that movie, and that is a very impressive performance that I do hope he gets recognition for, but it just didn't make my top 10. Jeremy Strong for Springsteen, Dwayne Johnson for The Smashing Machine, Chase Infinity for One Battle After Another, and Sean Penn for One Battle for Another are both right on the outside. There's like the top five or six, I think, that missed. Again, all those are really good performances, and I think almost all those people are going to get recognition at awards season. But for me, it just didn't crack my top 10. It wasn't as impressive as the ones I'm about to say. So to start off, number 10, I have Benicio del Toro from One Battle After Another. So that one is pretty much all the main cast is in my at least contention for best performances this year. And you'll see another person is a little bit higher on this list. You can probably guess who, but Benicio del Toro. And this is not like a performance that comes with a huge amount of emotion or a huge transformation, like Lordy or The Rock for Smash Machine. But it's just so he is just so perfect for this role. And this movie just came out in digital recently, so I was able to kind of watch some of the clips, and I'll probably rewatch it at some point if it gets on. I guess it'll be on HBO Max, but um it's just such a funny, compelling, mysterious performance, and so much of it. He was literally my favorite character in the movie, and just the idea that he is this like mysterious figure that has this whole lore behind him they were able to establish and to help out Leo's character in the movie. I just thought it was such a funny performance, such an impressive performance, and left you rooting for him as much as any other character in the movie, which I thought was the most impressive part about it. Because again, this is a cast full of characters, not kind of like Sean Penn or the villains in the movie. This is a cast of characters that you're meant to be rooting for. Chase Infinity, Leo, Regina Hall, Tiana Taylor, like all these people. And for Benicio, he was just the one that I enjoyed the most out of, not counting Leo, because again, he's going to be higher on this list, but he was the one I found myself rooting for the most. And it's not a performance that required a lot of intense acting skills, even though Del Toro is obviously, he's gotten his flowers, he's a great actor, but it might not be as strenuous or how as challenging a performance as some of the other people that I put him above. But for me, I just enjoyed it so much, and I think it's one of those things where like no one else could have played that role as well as he did, which really does matter. If you fit the role as good as he did, you're going to get high up on my list. So Del Toro is right at number 10, and again, a stacked cast of performances, a great movie, great performances. I'll be talking about this movie when it gets to award season videos, but this is one of my favorite performances of the year, and it's at number 10 in this list, and I could even be convinced to put it higher. So that's number 10. Number 9 is Wunmi Mosaku from Sinners. It's really a travesty that this like performance is not getting really none of the acting for Sinners, besides Michael B. Jordan, are even being in the contention for acting performances at the Oscars. I don't really understand it. I love her character in this movie, and I'll just say this: there's a couple other Sinners people on this list, but she is the highest out of the female cast. Obviously, you have Haley Steinfeld and Jamie Lawson and Lee Jun Lee, but this for me is my top performance out of that female cast, and it is a stacked cast, and even with that, she stands out above the rest, and her chemistry and relationship with Michael B. Jordan is the heart of the movie, and especially that scene. I'm going to spoil the movie because this movie has been out for a while. So if you haven't seen it, just skip forward, I don't know, a minute. But the scene at the end where Smoke, destroys all the clan members, and he gets to see her kind of in the afterlife about when he's about to die, and he gets to pass over, and just the way she delivers the lines, the score behind it obviously helps it as well, and how good Coogler is with the writing, but the way she performs it makes it the way she delivers her lines throughout the movie and acts out her character throughout the movie makes it someone that we actually care about and resonate with emotionally. And again, every time I've seen this movie, I think 4 times, and every time I see that scene at the end with her where she goes, don't get all that smoke on him. It's just so well acted. She's just so talented, and I really hope this really propels her career. No, she's already been cast in Social Reckoning, so that's good for her, and I hope this propels her career. I don't know if she'll get awards love this season. It's seeming like she won't, but she totally deserves to. And yeah, I mean, all these performances in the top 10, I'm not going to have like a problem with. There's nothing to be like, well, this is, whatever. Just one's better than the other. That's all it is. And like I said, she was one of the more impressive performances in Sinners. And I wasn't, when seeing the promo for the movie, I wasn't expecting her to be as prominent as she was in the movie. But when it comes to her character, it is one of the most pivotal roles in the movie because of her relationship to the Smokestack twins. So it's a great performance. It's emotional. It's compelling. It's you really. I mean, she is really one of the more clutch members of the entire movie because of her knowledge of vampires and like the history of the supernatural and stuff like that. I mean, the movie literally opens on her narration. If you haven't seen it in a while, you probably didn't realize that, but her narration of the Haints, and I think it was what was it griots for kind of how she ends the narration and all of that. Like she brings the history to this story, and not only would they not have survived without her in this story, but it would have been a lot less compelling because it would have just been kind of them just, shooting away and not worrying about, the kind of the rules of vampires like they do in this movie. So, yeah, very pivotal character and a performance that really captivates you and maybe not wouldn't have if it was a less talented actor. Very underrated actor in this industry right now. And again, I really hope her career starts to take off more after this role because we saw her in Loki and Deadpool Wolverine, and there's been like a couple other Lovecraft Country, which I have not seen, was the one that broke her out. But to see her come back on this stage and deliver a great performance is great. And obviously, Sinners is a great movie, so all the performances in this are going to be elevated. So she's number 9. Actually, number 8 is Miles Caton from Sinners. He plays Sammy. For those of you who don't know the name, I think the thing about this performance from him is that it is a breakup performance, and this is his first acting role. He learned to play guitar for this movie, although he was a musician before this. He learned a lot of things and worked a lot with Ludwig Göransson, who is the composer of this film. And the fact that this is an introduction, it's similar to the Chase Infinity thing, even though I just like his performance a little bit more than hers. But the fact that this is his first big screen performance, and again, he's doing stuff in this movie that he has never done in his life before he got signed on to do this movie. It's just incredibly impressive, and I think I think most people might discredit the performance a little bit because maybe they think that the actual like emotional scenes and all that, maybe at the end when he has the guitar and he's kind of fighting Remick, and when he grabs the guitar at the end, like the last shot is on this movie. But like similar to Mosaku, like he is the point of view character for this movie. Like we start with him, we find his story throughout, and we end with him, in the future with that kind of post credit scene. So like Michael B. Jordan might be the lead and he's going to be campaigning for lead actor, but like Miles Caton is the I don't know how the screen time works out. It probably doesn't work out that way, but like he is our main point of view for this movie, and for that to come from somebody that is doing their first acting role ever, and at his age, I think he's either 19 or 20. You'd have to check on that, but the fact that his performance is still very good and we still do care about his character with all of that said is just so impressive. And again, the acting itself is one thing, because I think he does do a great acting job, but then just the musical scenes itself are the best scenes in the movie. I mean, it's obviously we're all going to talk about the kind of 360 musical scene in the juke joint, and that's a lot of that speaks to the music from Göransson, and then the direction from Coogler, and just even the writing from Coogler and his vision. But still, Sammy in that scene again is our focus, and he does just captivate me as an audience member seeing him perform in that scene. And it's another one where I just don't understand how this is just getting no awards love. I mean, literally, this is a movie that itself is going to potentially get nominations for awards in the future, and the fact that we can't even put him in contention for best supporting actor when like he is like the main character in the movie and he delivers an incredible performance, and it is first time. We've seen the Oscars in the past nominate actors who, and I'm not saying this is the case in Miles K-Town, but we've seen them favor actors that are a lot younger because that is more impressive to act at a young age. We saw it with Anna Paquin winning an Oscar a while ago, and obviously Haley Steinfeld getting nominated for True Grit. Like we've seen it before, and I just don't understand how he's not. This shouldn't become just like a debate about the Oscars and how they do contentions. It should just be talking about his performance. So I'll just leave that for another day. But yeah, his performance in this movie is so impressive. And again, I think it is the second best performance in this movie. And him and Wunmi, you could interchange those two. It's really just how really I think him being over Wunmi is just the fact that those musical scenes were probably a little more challenging on his part than anything Wunmi had to do, which again is not discrediting performance. It's just about ranking. So Miles Caton's number 8, incredible performance. He is my favorite supporting performance so far this year. The rest of these performances coming up are all these are all lead performances. Every performance in the rest of this list is a lead performance. So yeah, there you go. So number 7 is Tessa Thompson for Hedda. This is a movie that a lot of people probably haven't seen because it basically went straight to streaming. It was only in select theaters. It's a movie about a play, so that might ostracize a couple of viewers. But first off, the movie is just good. Like, if you have not seen Hedda, I wrote a review for my website. You can find it in the description. I wrote it like a month ago. Hedda is just a really good movie, and the direction from Dia DaCosta is great. A very underrated director. The Marvels, love it. Candyman, love it. And the thing about the movie, though, is that even with how impressive the script and the direction is and the ensemble cast is, really the main lead and the most important character in the movie is Tessa Thompson. And I remember watching that movie, and I put this in my review, you can see it, but I remember watching that movie and writing my review, and I was like, I do really like her performance, but I'm not sure it'll get up there for some of my favorite performances this year. And obviously there's a long way to go, so maybe it'll fall down the list. It's only at number 7, but it's really aged very well to me thinking about it more. And the reason I think about it more is because contrary to like the other performances that I've said so far, which are all supporting roles, with Tessa Thompson, like if the actor in her role was bad or didn't give a convincing performance, this movie would have been terrible. Not terrible, it wouldn't have been good, because like she is the one we follow throughout this kind of night-long event that happens during the course of this movie. And it just takes such a controlling performance to do that, and that's exactly what Tessa Thompson gives. And she's another one who's been long overdue for Oscar love. Not that she's like, I don't think she's had roles to me that have deserved to get an Oscar nomination, but she's been in the business for a long time. A lot of everyone that I will be saying this to will probably know who she is and will like her as well. So I think it's long overdue in that sense, and I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna stop with like the will she get into the Oscars. I'm just gonna stop with that because I could just get in a huge tangent about that. But with her again, the most impressive part of it is how controlling it is because her character is basically trying to insert herself in every situation at this party scene and is trying to bring the situation to a certain point that helps out her personally or her situation or her husband. And the way she comes into all these scenarios, and whether it's a conversation, whether it's a kind of whisper down the lane situation, or whether it's her leaving the party at a certain point, like all this kind of stuff. The best way to describe it is controlling, and that's how she, and that's meaning it in a positive way, by the way. Like controlling could be seen as a Sean Penn and One After Another is controlling, but like no, this is a controlling performance for the better, and her character is morally gray. You don't know whether you should be rooting for her, whether you shouldn't be, and that kind of develops throughout the movie. And again, is speaking to the writing, but Tessa just does such a good job with this role, and she elevates this role. She makes it better than it would be again if it was a lesser actor portraying the lead role. Um, Nia DaCosta and Tessa Thompson have been friends for a while, and they've done movies together I think one movie together in the past. So it makes sense they were kind of on the same page here. And I do really hope this is the Oscar moment for Tessa because I don't know if she deserves to win it, but in terms of lead actress performance, this was very, very good, very compelling. And again, I just hope more people see this movie. I think this is one where she could do really well in the indie circuits, the indie award circuits, because um, it just feels like that to me. It feels like one that could be more impressive to the more indie critics, I guess, like the SAG Awards and stuff like that. I could see it being good on that, and that could potentially propel her to getting more Oscar love. I'm not sure about that yet, but just talking about her performance alone, I loved it, and the movie would have been a lot worse without her. So that's really all I need to say about that. That's number seven. Number six is Jeremy Allen White for Springsteen. This is a movie that was received not great by the general audience. It was mixed with the critics, and by the way, pretty much all these movies, I'm not gonna go and link every single one of them, but all these movies that I'm saying, one by after another, Sinners, and now Hedda, Sinners, Springsteen, all of these I have reviews on the website for or on the YouTube channel. I have a Sinners YouTube review and a blog review. I have a one by after another written review. I have a Hedda written review. I have a Springsteen written review, and there's a couple of movies that are going to be coming up that again I have a written or a YouTube review for. So shameless plug, but like if you have not heard of these movies or not heard of these performances and you want to hear me speak more about them, go on the YouTube channel or the blog and scroll back, and I have all these videos already reviewed. So, are all these movies already reviewed. So go back and look at that. But yeah, Springsteen is a movie that wasn't received great by either the general audience or the critics, which has kind of lessened the conversation about this movie compared to what it was, a couple months ago. But for me, Jeremy Allen White, his performance is just so good because it's not only coming from the fact that he was able to just channel the musical side of things, because I think the reason this movie was so divisive with critics is because compared to a movie like Complete Unknown with Timothée Chalamet last year, that was like a big that the focus for that movie was big musical spectacles. Like it did tell Chalamet's story, and a lot of the better moments in that movie for me. By the way, I love Complete Unknown. I think it's a great movie too. But a lot of the better moments in that movie are also slower moments and not like musical scenes. But the ending of the movie with Complete Unknown is that kind of spectacle at the festival. And although there are some longer musical sequences in this movie, in the Springsteen movie, and it starts off that way, it is not even close to as much as we got in a movie like Complete Unknown. And it is a lot more focusing on Bruce Springsteen's personal story and his kind of mental health journey. And I was someone who really appreciated that. And I think what Jeremy Allen White does in this movie is not only shows how good of a musician he can be, which who would have thought, watching him in The Bear or Shameless or anything like that. Not only does he showcase that and how impressive his voice can be, sounding like Bruce Springsteen, but also with the emotional moments, you do really feel that deep in your core. And I said this in my review, both on Letterboxd and on my written review, but this is a movie that really hit home for me personally because of its exploration of mental health and the fact that I didn't even know that Bruce himself went through these issues, and I respect the fact that he's able to tell these on screen. But that in itself makes it a very emotional performance from him, and one that I found myself incredibly invested in throughout the movie. Even though, like, you watch it, you know that Bruce Springsteen's still alive today, and he still is a very popular musician, and this story it's telling was very early in his career, so we see like he has gotten past these problems. But that alongside Jeremy Strong with him in this cast, but just with specifically, I'm talking about Jeremy Allen White, it was just so So emotional. I mean, that's the best way to describe it. It's just such an emotional performance, and the way he plays out this struggle with mental health that Bruce Springsteen clearly went through in early in his life. And I think the movie itself is very impressive. So I think that helps, kind of elevate, because all these movies, except for the next one I'm going to say, are literally like 4 or 4.5 star movies for me and some of my favorite movies of the year. So that is always going to elevate the performances and make me um kind of more invested in those performances because of how much I liked the movie. And that's no different here. But a biopic performance is always going to be up there for me because it's so hard to channel a real life person compared to just like reading off a screenplay that is being made up by a director or writer. But that's always going to be up there for me no matter what, as long as you do a decent job. But like I listen, I had parents that listen to Bruce Springsteen a little bit, and I have a little bit of knowledge of him and his history. But like for me, I was not a huge Bruce Springsteen fan going into this. Not like I didn't like him, just that I didn't have the knowledge or the playtime with him, and I didn't know too many of his songs. But with this movie, his performance was so good that he literally made me gain respect for Springsteen as a person after watching it. And again, that speaks to the real life story. It speaks to the direction. It speaks to the screenplay. But for me, the number one aspect that is most impressive is Jeremy Allen White in this movie. And as a lead performance, it is incredibly compelling. And it is one of my favorite performances of the year. And I think it just shows that he is someone that, is kind of known as a TV actor right now. He's done the Iron Claw, he's done a couple things like that. But now with this movie, and the talk's been a little bit low on it right now, so maybe it won't be the case, but I do hope that he gets his Oscar love for this, and also this shows that he is someone that needs to be booked and busy. Like, let's get him in as much things as possible because he just generally he makes movies better, but in this case, it is not like it's not Dwayne Johnson in the sense like that's a biopic, but that's like a transformative thing. Like he changed a lot of his mannerisms. Like you do see Jeremy Allen White in every part of this performance, but still, it's just so impressive because of the way he played out both the emotional scenes and the musical scenes. So that's why I love his performance so much. That's number six. All right, getting to the top five. These are all lead performances, like I said, and these are all just like could completely be interchangeable. These are like incredible performances for each of these people. Let's see, that's her best performance. His, no, um, no, yes. So like 3 out of the 5 of these, it is literally the career best performance. So it's, and I'll note which one of those it is. But so that's why it's like these are all could go anyway, and these five are all for me. Would like at the end of the year, I'd be shocked if these weren't like in my awards nominations for me personally. So yeah, let's start off at number five. I've got Rose Byrne for "If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You." This is another one that not a lot of people have probably seen because it got a limited release and it just it's an A24 film, so it wasn't I didn't have the commercial success like Sinners or One Battle After Another, but I saw this at an early screening, so I thought that maybe my how impressed I was with his performance was just because of the opportunity and how cool it was. But thinking back on this performance more, I think it's been like a month or so since I've seen this movie, and again, my review for this on the blog. Go check it out for a longer description. But I think my thoughts on this performance have only gotten heightened by, but as time has passed since I've seen it. So I love this performance. She is somebody that is long deserved, long due for awards love, and my favorite part about her performance in this movie is the face acting. And what I mean by that, you're probably like face acting. That's literally what every part of acting is. But no, her face acting in this movie because I love the fact that there is many shots in this movie, and this speaks very much to the director Mary Bronstein, but there's many shots in this movie that are literally just a close up on Rose Byrne's face. That is a lot of this movie. There are 5 or 6 scenes, maybe even more. I'd have to watch it again, and I probably will before the end of the year. But there are like 5 or 6 scenes where it's just a long shot and long extended scene of Rose Byrne's face, and we need to see her emotions. And with that, it could, if the actor wasn't as talented, it could be a very stale performance because it's just like we're just seeing the same emotions and the same emotional weight in every scene. It's such a complex acting performance because we do see a wide range of emotions and how they explore it through the overarching theme of motherhood. And I think it's just she is like the main draw of this movie, and I've been saying that about a lot of the lead performances, but it is very true in this because like there are side characters in this that give decent performances and funny performances like Conan O'Brien, ASAP Rocky, all of that. But that's like a random 2 names I know, but just go check out the cast, and go check out the movie if you still can. It's still in theaters, I'm not sure, but her character is literally the movie. Like this movie is an exploration of her as a character. That is the plot line, and it's exploration of her as a mother and how complicated motherhood can be. And it is just the most standout acting job because again of the emotions she brings throughout the movie, of her arc throughout the movie. Her character is very divisive in the sense that like you're not necessarily meant to root for her, but in the same vein, like any mother, I'm obviously not a mother, but like any mothers in the world would be able to see that and be like, this is, this is an extreme, but this is still how motherhood can feel at some points, especially if you have like Rose Byrne's character in this movie, you have like a husband that's not supporting and a daughter that has an illness, like the character in this movie, her daughter, Rose Byrne's daughter in this movie, and that makes it a very relatable performance, but at the same time, some of the actions she makes it so you're not sure what to think about her, and that is just due to her incredible performance because she makes it a very morally gray situation with her character, and at some points you're dying laughing because of the way she's performing, sometimes you're crying because of the way she's performing. It's so multi-layered, it's so multifaceted, it's such a standout performance, and it is one of those things where who knows how the rest of the year is going to turn out. We still have Cynthia Erivo for Wicked. I still haven't seen Sentimental Value. There's still Amanda Seyfried for Testament of Anne Lee, that kind of stuff. But with the performances that I've seen so far this year, hers is so impressive to me, and I don't think it's a bias. I don't think it's I again I've sat this performance a little bit, and again I'll watch it before the end of the year to make sure like this is as impressive as I thought it was. But I love this performance, and I just continue to be more impressed the more that I watch this or watch the more that I think about this performance. So yeah, that's number five, Rose Byrne. If I had legs, I kick you. Number four is Jesse Plemons for Bugonia. I literally just talked about this for my Bugonia review 2 weeks ago, or maybe that was even a week ago. So I'm not going to go too far in depth about this because I already have a whole video praising him. But similar to Tessa Thompson and Hedda, this is first off, this is Jesse Plemons' best performance of his career. I'm someone who I don't have like a hate for Jesse Plemons or anything, but going to this movie, I didn't have a single project of his which I watched where I was overly impressed with him as an actor. Although I'd seen him in a couple things, I was never overly impressed by him. This is just by far his best performance. It blew me away. I thought it was so good, and it's another one of those performances that a couple of these in the top 10 have been that it is so complex because the way his character comes into the movie with Emma Stone's character is that you're meant to kind of think he's crazy. You're meant to think this guy clearly has some mental health problems. He is crazy, and that's where part of the great acting job comes because it's just generally hard to act out mental health on the big screen. But the other part of it is the fact that the way the movie plays out, he plays out his character in a way that we don't know if we are supposed to root for him or should we root for him or should we feel bad for him? Should we feel bad for the way he's being treated by certain things in the story? And this movie's still in theaters. Like go see it if you haven't yet because it's just really good movie and really impressive acting performance. But yeah, for him, it's so multifaceted, so multi-layered. There's so many things to enjoy about the performance. And like I said, by the end, you don't know whether you should be rooting for him or you shouldn't be rooting for him. So that's if a performance is evoking that emotion out of me, I'm always going to be very impressed by it. So that's number four. Again, I have a full review about this that I just did, so go watch that. But that's my little blurb about him. So yeah, now for the top three. Again, said this about the whole top five, but these three are all like I literally you could put them in any certain order, and I might change it around by the end of the year. But this is where I'm feeling right now on November 14th. So yeah, number three, I have Leonardo DiCaprio for One Bell After Another. And again, this is another performance where there are some emotional moments for Leo in this movie, but it's more the fact that this role is so chaotic and so all over the place. I mean, literally, the majority of this movie from him is like on the run. He's on the run from the kind of white supremacist kind of group that's after him, that's after his daughter. He's chasing after his daughter. He's trying to go through the Del Toro's dojo and all that stuff. It's a lot of the performance that's on the run, and it could have been an absolute mess if there was an actor that wasn't as talented as Leo to play it out, and it could have just been like, I don't know what I'm following here. I get lost in the sauce. I start to get bored of it because how long the movie is, but he just grabs you in from minute one because obviously he's hilarious and that's part of it. But again, even the emotional scenes are really good. There's not too many of them because a lot of the movie is spent like him on the run, but there's obviously, again, spoilers from one after another, skip like 30 seconds, but that scene at the end where he does find his daughter is very well acted and very emotional. That was like my one problem with the movie was the fact that I think the ending was a bit anticlimactic, but his performance in that ending scene is still good, and it's just Leo is, whether you like him or you hate him for his personal life or anything like that, he is clearly, I mean, debatably the best actor working today, at least from his generation. So it's no surprise that he's back up again for Oscars contention. And again, I think this movie or this character could have been something that was not as interesting or not as compelling without his performance because of how chaotic the script is and how all over the place it is, how long it is, and all of that. But the fast pacing, he completely rides that wave and does not get lost in the sauce with how fast paced the movie is or how many characters there are or how many things are going on. And yeah, it's just such a good performance for an actor that is so talented. So it's not surprising at all. And obviously he's got so many good performances that who knows if this would even make it in the top five, top three, whatever. But I'd have to another time look at his full filmography, the ones that I've seen, and figure out where it ranks. But it's so impressive. It's so good from him. And as a lead performance, it is someone you do want to root for throughout the whole movie, which is really important. So yeah, that's number three. All right. Top two. This is I've already been saying this a little times. Let's just go into it. My number two is Emma Stone from Bugonia. Now, again, this is another situation where you could be seeing a certain amount of bias because Emma Stone is one of my favorite actors. La La Land is my favorite movie of all time. So like I obviously love her as an actor. However, she does things in this movie that she has not ever done in her career, and that was so impressive to me because it's similar to Plemons. But the reason I like Plemons' performance, the reasons that I like Plemons' performance so much are a lot of the reasons that I also like Emma Stone's performance so much. And again, just talked about this 2 weeks ago. Go check that out, but I'll recap it a little bit here. With her, it is an arc throughout the movie that is so back and forth and with as an audience member and so complex and so many different perspectives being offered from her, and her personality can just change depending on the situation. It's just so impressive, and only her, or I wouldn't say that. She's one of the only people in the world that could portray this role as good as she did and make it as compelling as it was. And I'm using a lot of buzzwords in the episode, but it's really just because those are the best ways to describe these performances because they're all so good and a lot of them are good for similar reasons. But like I said, I, again, I really talked about this a lot in my Bugonia review, and I just posted a clip about it that got a decent amount of views. But with her character in this movie and her motivations, and some of the mystery behind her character, my opinion on it flipped like 10 times throughout the 2 hour runtime. Like there were one point at the beginning I'm thinking a certain way about her, and then it changes, and then it changes like over and over again. And that's what I'm kind of talking about, how Plemons, you get a change in how you feel about him. It's because you're starting to change your thoughts on Emma Stone's character, and then it flips back to not liking Jesse's character, and then it flips back to not liking her character. And it's just they play off each other so well, which is why they both made themselves in this top 10, because it's their performances are almost equally as impressive because they get like an equal amount of screen time and equal amount to do. And obviously part of it is that Emma did shave her head for this movie, but like that's really not even what I'm thinking about. Like that is I respect her for committing and all that, and that's great. But like it's not only that, it's the fact that she goes through so many different layers in this movie, and it's waves. It's so many different ways that you're feeling about her throughout this movie as an audience member. And again, if you're getting that reaction out of me as an audience member, and how into the movie I was and how stuck up I was, and this speaks to the screenplay, but how stuck how did I put this in my review? How much I was clinging on to every word of both her and Jesse Plemons, specifically for her, and especially towards the end where she kind of becomes more authoritative with her performance. And again, that's another way it's layered. At the beginning, it's fear. At one point, it's bargaining. At one point, it's being authoritative. There's just so many layers to her performance, which is just so impressive. And it's yeah, I just think that what was I saying before I got into that tangent? I can't remember, but yeah, I just think that she is a generational actor. And even with that said, this is probably top three or four performances in her career. For me, it is going to be almost impossible for La La Land to be topped in terms of performance. But and that's good for another reason. That the reasons I'm saying about her performance in this movie are not even similar at all to the reasons that La La Land and she's so good in that movie. But with this movie, even with it being recency bias, of course, it only came out a few weeks ago. Maybe it'll age poorly for me. I don't think it will because I have not stopped thinking about both her and Jesse Plemons in this movie since it came out. But yeah, with this performance, it's so impressive, and it is a not a career performance for her because she just has such an impressive filmography, but it is a top performance for her in her career, and I think that I'm very confident it'll stay that way when it gets to the Oscars in March. So yeah, that's number two. Number one, I guess people might be able to guess this considering what I was saying earlier in the video. It wasn't really meant to be a secret, but my number one is Michael B. Jordan in Sinners. Now, before anything else, before talking about anything in depth about his performance and kind of how it played out throughout the movie, the number one thing for me is the fact that he played two different characters on screen and they were together on screen at the same time. They were in the movie throughout the entire time. Both of them are the main characters, and even with that, and even with the fact they look almost they look the same, obviously, like physically, but they look almost the same with their outfits, and before obviously the vampire situation goes on, even with all of that, he makes it so both Smoke and Stack feel completely different in terms of characters. They do not feel like they're being played by the same actor. They don't feel similar at all. They have their specific quirks, and again, speaks to the screenplay from Coogler, but the way Michael B. Jordan is able to play out dual roles and make them completely different from each other is just so standout, so impressive to me. And it's not a movie where he is just the main guy. If he wasn't in this movie, it would be terrible because, like a movie like Hedda where Tessa is like the main character. With this movie, it has an incredible ensemble cast, and I've already talked about some of them in this in this kind of in this top 10. But for me, what he did with playing these dual roles and making it emotional, making it funny, doing the action scenes, all of that stuff, and the fact that he was able to make it feel like you're watching two completely different characters, even though they're being played by the same actor on the same day of shooting. Even with all of that, he made it seem like they were different and they had their own little things and they were able to have their own niches. And you do, I mean, there was a little filmmaking trick there with Coogler making one of them wear blue and one of them wear red, but even if that wasn't the case, you'd be able to differentiate them, and that is just more impressive than anything else I've seen this year because nobody else. Listen, there's been dual performances this year. One of the not I didn't name them as my honorable mentions, but one of my honorable mentions is Robert Pattinson in Mickey 17 because he does a very similar thing, but it's asking a lot less than it does with Senders. It's just generally a worse movie, even though I do like that movie. But with Michael B as a lead performance, it is just so good. I cannot sing its praises enough. And like I said, with both Smoke and Stack, and specifically, geez, I haven't seen the movie in so long. I'm trying to remember which one's which, but Smoke, yeah. Well, so yeah, Smoke is the one that doesn't get bit in the end. So we're good there. With Smoke, there is just such an emotional connection we feel to his character because of how he acts it out throughout the movie. And it's not that he's being super nice and great to everyone throughout the movie. Like he shoots someone early on in the movie. The way he treats Wunmi Mosaku's character at the beginning, people could consider rude and not nice and not fair. That was kind of what I was trying to say. And it's not like it's a character where like the whole time we're meant to totally root for him, but there's just those moments where, whether they're small moments or kind of these epic scale moments, where we are just cheering and rooting for him as a character so hard. And there's nothing more satisfying than that huge spectacle at the end where he's shooting the clan members. But then again, even then, there's the smaller moments. Like I was just reading about, I was reading the interview with Haley Steinfeld, Jamie Lawson, and Wunmi Mosaku literally this morning, and they were asking them, the interviewer was asking them about like what their more favorite scenes or more impressive moments in the movie were, and I don't remember which one of them said it. It might have been Wunmi, but I can't remember. But you'll be able to find the interview if you want to. It's really good. But one of the scenes she pointed out was the scene in the square where Michael B. Jordan basically teaches that little girl to stand up for herself, and he offers her money. He explains to her kind of negotiating tactics, and then she stands up to these kind of robbers and slams in the horn. All of that is a very small moment in the movie. It's only 1 or 2 minutes and it's not impactful to the main plot at all, but it gives a look into his character very early on, and it makes you just really like him and make you sympathize, not sympathize because nothing really bad has happened to him at that point, but like it just makes you really invested in him as a character because you see that and you just smile. It's a scene where you just smile, and a lot of people were saying like girl dad kind of vibes, which is obviously great and all of that. And that's just Smoke. When it comes to Stack, obviously it is one where once he turns to a vampire, there's got to be a lot of, and because that's another thing where like although Stack, it's hard to even explain how how I'm feeling about that side of things. Because with Stack, at the same time, there's a noticeable difference between when he is not a vampire and when he is, but at the same time, you still get the hints of how he was as a human and how he was as a vampire. And that in itself is just so cool that like you can watch a certain scene and then watch another scene and you feel different ways about Stack as a character when he is a vampire and whether, wait a second, like he is acting a lot like Stack, so should we be rooting for him, or should we feel like his brother? Should we hearing him out more? Or well, this scene he just bit a guy on the ground and just like went after Sammy. So like, why are we rooting for him then? Like it's just it goes back and forth, and it's impressive filmmaking. But with his acting, he made this character differentiated from the other people in the cast, and then his other twin brother, and and you want to root for him sometimes, you want to cry for him sometimes, you want to be mad at him sometimes, and his decision making and all that, and it's just I don't see how there is another and I could be wrong. There's a lot of great performances to come, I think, but because they've screened so far, just haven't come out in theaters. But to me, I don't see how there's anyone that has done at least. Let's say this. To this point, I don't see how anyone else has done what he did in this movie with the dual roles. I just don't see how anyone has done something as challenging and impressive as that. So, yeah, I mean, that was like my main thing about the movie is my main impressive, my most, maybe that's not true. I don't know if his performance is the thing I like the most about this movie. Which, by the way, like people know me, like I love this movie. I've seen it. I have a poster of it up there. I've seen it like 4 or 5 times. It's my number one movie for this year so far. It is might literally even get in my top 10 all time already. It's that good, and I've seen it so many times that it's not recency bias. But so I don't know if his performance is my favorite part of the movie, but it is one of the most impressive aspects of it. And to use an old trope that I've said throughout this entire episode, the movie would not be as good as it was without how compelling his performance was. So, yeah, that's my number one. Again, these could be interchangeable. I am feeling good about this. I've kind of sat on this for a couple weeks and before I made this video because I wanted to just make sure I'm sure about this list. And this was just a slow movie week. So this is what I did. So, yeah, that's my top 10. And I guess I can just go. So that's what I was gonna do. So I've gone a little long, so I'm gonna just finish up with this. But I did my ranking based off this list, and some of these people I haven't talked about yet because they're in the honorable mentions. But I did my ranking so far of the movies I've seen for each of these 4 categories. So for me, my best actor nominations would be Michael B. Jordan, Leonardo DiCaprio, Jesse Plemons, Jeremy Allen White, and Dwayne Johnson for Smashing Machine. I did not talk about him because he was in honorable mentions. I have a review of Smashing Machine where I praise the performance. There's a lot of really good lead performances to come, especially Timothy Chalamet, who might win the award. So I don't know if he'll stay in the top 5, but he's in there right now. Best Actress, Emma Stone, Rose Byrne, Tessa Thompson, Chase Infinity, and Eva Victor for Sorry Baby. Another review I have on my website. Very impressive performance, but just don't have time to talk about it today. That's my actress top 5 so far. Again, so far, like I'm almost 100% sure that Cynthia Erivo will get in the top 5 for me. But again, I have not seen it. It is not out yet, so I can't put that in there. I'm not projecting. I'm basing it off so far. My best supporting actor, Miles Caton, Benicio del Toro, Jacob Elordi, Jeremy Strong, and Sean Penn. So talked about some of those other ones I didn't talk about. Didn't do a Frankenstein review, but I talked about that. I guess I haven't talked about really Frankenstein at all, but that's a great movie and a great performance from him. The last one, Best Supporting Actress, I have Wunmi Mosaku, Tiana Taylor, Haley Steinfeld, Amy Madigan for Weapons, and Emily Blunt for Smashing Machines. So that's my top part for that. That's going to change a lot because there's a lot of good supporting performances still to come for the year, so or movies that I haven't seen. I have a feeling that Elle Fanning might literally win that award. So we'll see when I see sentimental value soon whether that gets up there on this list. But yeah, so there it is. Those are my best acting performances of the year so far, my top 10, some of the honorable mentions, and where I stand with the awards contention right now. Again, this will change a lot, and I'm going to keep everyone updated on how I'm feeling with this list. I'll probably every once in a while tweet an updated list on Twitter and just so people can follow along. You know, obviously Wicked's next week. I think I'm seeing Sentimental Value next week too. So like that there will be some great performances upcoming that will jump up this list and knock some people down. And again, some of them may age more poorly. You know, Dwayne Johnson's, for example, was one that aged a little bit. I was almost sure when I watched that movie, I was like, this is one of my favorite performances of the year, and I don't see it dropping, but it has dropped since then, and that's the story for another day. But what I'm saying is this list will change a lot, but a lot of the main people, and especially the top 10, should be in there for the rest of the year. But we'll just have to see. There's a lot of stuff upcoming and a lot of lead performances, a lot of supporting performances, a lot of great movies coming out. So that's just where I stand right now. I felt this was a good spot to do it because, like I said, this is a bit of a slower release week, but then next week, a lot of the more Oscar-worthy movies like Wicked, and I think I'm seeing Sentimental Value next week. So that'll change my list a lot. So I want to do a little litmus check right now. Those are my performances of the year. It's all my opinion. These actors are all incredibly talented, more impressive than I will ever be at acting in my life. I've never been acting in my life. They're incredible actors. All of them are great. All of them deserve. Everyone that I have in my honorable mentions also deserves to be recognized. It's just they weren't in my top 10. It's just all my opinion. And yeah, leave your thoughts below in the comments if you disagree with my list, if you agree with my list, if you would place someone a little bit higher, if there's a performance that of a movie that's come out that I haven't mentioned that I've seen but I should mention. And yeah, I will be back next week on the blog with a review as usual. Hopefully a video on Friday. I think there's a bit of a travel situation there, so maybe I'll have to record that in advance. So maybe it would have been better to do this next week, but what can you do? Yeah, keep an eye on my Twitter for updated awards rankings. And again, in the description, the blog and the YouTube channel. Obviously, you're watching this as a YouTube channel, but the blog is in the description. I have reviews for all of these awards contenders, and I talk about the performances. And yeah, so if you want an extended look or a more in-depth look than I gave in this video, then go check that out as the award season heats up. And I'll do a video at the end of the year and in like June or in February or March when the Oscars are getting closer. And like I want to do a year in review in December and then when the Oscars are getting closer. So we'll do a lot more awards focused videos. It's just this one I want to do a little litmus check. So yeah, thanks for all the support. Go check out the Eternity content as well. That is a reminder as well. So thanks for all the support in the videos recently. Thanks for watching this video. I'm sorry if it was a little bit longer, and I will see you next time.